I know no one will believe me, but I have to share this story. Ever since that night in the mansion, I haven't slept properly. The shadows in my room feel like they're watching me, and I can't shake the feeling that I'm never alone anymore. It was supposed to be the perfect weekend getaway. I found this incredible mansion on Airbnb. Huge gardens, a sparkling pool, and enough bedrooms to make everyone feel at home. It looked like a dream, but from the moment we arrived, I started questioning if it was too good to be true. We pulled up just as the last light of day disappeared behind the dense trees surrounding the property. The house was massive, its windows reflecting the fading glow of the sky. But as beautiful as it was, something felt heavy. The air was colder than it should have been for late spring, and the flickering lanterns lining the driveway cast strange, dancing shadows. Inside, the mansion was even more stunning than the pictures. Polished wood floors, velvet drapes, and a fireplace big enough to walk into. But there was an eerie stillness, like the house had been waiting for us. The scent of old wood polish mixed with something faintly metallic lingered in the air, just strong enough to make me pause. That's when we noticed it. A door on the main floor locked tight. It wasn't in the listing, and no one mentioned it in the reviews. When I leaned closer to peek through the small gap, all I saw was pitch black, as if the room beyond didn't want to be seen. Maybe it's the wine cellar, one of my friends joked, trying to lighten the mood. Or the murder room, another quipped, forcing a nervous laugh. But none of us were laughing for long. Later that evening, as we unpacked and settled in, the house seemed to come alive. The creak started subtly at first, wood shifting, the sounds you expect from an old place. But then, from upstairs, we heard what sounded like footsteps, slow, deliberate, pacing back and forth. "Did you hear that?" someone asked, their voice hushed, like speaking too loudly would draw whatever was closer. I tried to brush it off, telling myself it was just the house settling, but my gut told me otherwise. And as the night wore on, the feeling of being watched became impossible to ignore. Something wasn't right, but none of us dared to say it aloud. We just exchanged uneasy glances and stayed close, pretending everything was fine. But deep down, I knew this was only the beginning. By the second night, none of us could pretend everything was normal anymore. Something wasn't right with that house. It started just after midnight. I was in the kitchen, grabbing water, when I heard it, a faint whisper. At first, I thought it was the wind slipping through a crack somewhere, but the sound didn't waver. It was soft, steady, and coming from above me. The attic. I froze, my glass halfway to my lips, and strained to make out the words. But it wasn't a language, just a low, rhythmic murmur, like someone pacing back and forth while muttering to themselves. We all gathered at the foot of the attic stairs, staring up at the locked door. "Maybe it's just rats," one of my friends said, though their voice shook. "Rats don't whisper," I thought, but I didn't say it aloud. Trying to shake it off, I went to bed, but sleep didn't come. As I lay there, staring at the ceiling, I felt it pressure on my chest. Not like weight, but a presence, as if someone leaned over me, their eyes boring into mine. My breath hitched, and the room felt unbearably cold. Then the pacing began again, this time right above me. Slow, deliberate steps that seemed to mock my attempts to rationalize. My heart pounded with every creak, the dread pulling in my stomach, threatening to choke me. A sudden buzz broke the silence. My phone. I grabbed it and saw a text from my friend in the room next door. "Are you awake? Something's wrong." I just heard breathing under my bed. My stomach dropped. I bolted to her room, finding her pale and trembling, her eyes darting to the shadowy space beneath the bed. "Check, please," she whispered. I crouched, my hands shaking, and peered into the darkness. Nothing. We tried to laugh it off, to convince ourselves it was just nerves. But as we stood there, a loud thud came from downstairs. From the locked door, we stared at each other, paralyzed, before slowly stepping into the hall. The air was thick, suffocating, and every creak beneath our feet felt deafening. Whatever was behind that door wasn't finished with us. By the final night, none of us could pretend anymore. The house felt alive, watching us, its walls pulsing with something I couldn't explain. Every shadow seemed deeper, every sound sharper, and none of us had managed more than a few hours of restless sleep. The whispers were constant now, louder, more deliberate, as if they wanted us to hear. The footsteps never stopped, circling us, following us from room to room. They seemed heavier, more impatient, as if whatever was causing them was growing restless. It was unbearable. We couldn't stay another moment. "We need to leave. Now," I said, my voice trembling. Everyone nodded, too scared to argue. We rushed to the front door, bags in hand, ready to run. But the door wouldn't open. We pushed and pulled with all our strength, but it was useless. It didn't feel stuck. It felt held. "What's happening?" One of my friends yelled, panic rising. And then, as if on cue, the lights went out. Total darkness. My heart raced as I fumbled for my phone, but my hands were shaking so badly I couldn't grip it. Around me, I could hear the others stumbling, their breaths quick and shallow. That's when I heard it, a voice. My name, whispered so clearly it cut through the chaos. I froze, every hair on my body standing on end. "Did you hear that?" I managed to choke out, but no one answered. I turned toward the stairs, my eyes straining against the dark. And there it was, a shadow, darker than the pitch-black hallway, standing at the top of the stairs. It didn't move, it didn't make a sound, but it was there, and I couldn't look away. "Who is there?" I whispered, my voice barely audible. The shadow remained still, unyielding, its presence suffocating. Behind me, someone screamed, snapping me out of my trance. I turned to see my friends frantically searching for the back door. When I looked back at the stairs, the shadow was gone. I don't know how we got out, but eventually we did. The door opened as suddenly as it had locked. We didn't look back, didn't stop until we were far from that house. But even now, I can't shake the feeling that whatever was in there didn't stay behind. Sometimes when the room is quiet, I hear it, the faint whisper of my name, and I wonder if it's only a matter of time before it finds me again. We finally got the front door open, and I don't even remember how. One moment we were trapped, and the next we were outside, gasping for air like we'd been suffocating. We didn't stop to grab our things. Everything we'd brought to that house is still there. All I cared about was getting away, putting as much distance as possible between us, and, whatever that was, sitting in the car, speeding down the dark road. The silence between us was deafening. No one spoke about what had just happened. Maybe we were all too scared to give it a name. The shadow on the stairs, the whispers calling my name, the locked doors. It didn't make sense. None of it made sense. Part of me wonders if it was all in our heads. Maybe the house was just old. The sounds just drafts and creaking wood. Maybe we scared ourselves into believing something was there. But then I think about how the door wouldn't open, about the pressure I felt in my chest, and about that shadow, darker than the dark, standing so still. It's been weeks now, but I can't seem to move on. At night, I hear faint footsteps in my apartment. They're soft, deliberate, and always stop right outside my bedroom door. I tell myself it's the neighbors, but deep down, I know better. Sometimes, I feel eyes on me when I'm alone, a prickling sensation on the back of my neck that makes me too afraid to turn around. The whispers haven't started again, not yet, but I can't shake the feeling that whatever was in that house didn't stay behind. I need answers. Please, if you've experienced anything like this, tell me. Was it all in my head? Or is it just waiting for the right moment to come back? Because I can't stop thinking, what if it's not over? And this was one of our followers' stories. If you want your story to be told by us as well, leave it in the comments below this video. And if you enjoyed this video and want to see more content like this, we prepared the next video especially for you. Click here to watch it.